Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're doing the second installment for these new Tom Ford eyeshadow quads that he is releasing for this fall winter season. So today we're going to be talking about Daydream, which is this beautiful navy purpley toned palette. So if you're interested in more info on this palette, including swatches and a demo on this eye look, then just keep on watching. If you did not catch my video on the brand new Virgin Orchid eyeshadow quad, I will link to that up here. So you can watch that if you're interested in that eyeshadow palette. And in that video, I talked about the eyeshadow quads that are going to be discontinued from the Tom Ford existing line. So I'm just going to mention them here quickly if you're not interested in that quad. So Titanium Smoke, Last Dance, and Starry Night are definitely going to be discontinued. And I'm still waiting to hear back from my essay about whether it's Seductive Rose or the Orchid one that's being discontinued. I think it's one of those. In any case, Tom Ford is going to be introducing either 7 or 9 new eyeshadow palettes for this season, and I hope to cover each of them in their own individual videos. So today we're going to be talking about Daydream, which is this beaut right here. So the formula of this palette is the same as the Virgin Orchid, and it's also the same as Nude Dip and Honeymoon. This formula is absolutely stunning. I feel like I'm just repeating myself because I'm pretty much going to say the same things as I said in the Virgin Orchid video. So if you watch that, I apologize. But if this is your first video, or if you weren't interested in that one and you're only interested in this one, let me just tell you how much I love this formula. It's so, so beautiful. Here are some swatches and a close-up of the quad. So here's a close-up, and you can almost see like the unique formula by just looking at the pan. It just has this like almost muted shine to it. It almost looks like satin ribbon. It's really, really beautiful. And then here's some dry finger swatches of all 4 colors. What I also wanted to mention about this formula is that it can be used both wet and dry. So I went ahead and did some brush swatches of the shadows wet, and I placed them next to some dry finger swatches. So you'll see the dry finger swatch and then the wet brush swatch for each shade. I just wanted to make sure you guys could see the difference between the two, between the wet and the dry. One shade I found a little surprising is this lightest shade up here. In the pan, it looks pretty taupe. It looks very, very cool in tone. And I felt like when I purchased it, I couldn't tell if there was like a lilac hint to it. I didn't know if it was just sort of coming through from this shadow. You know how sometimes you can see the shadow next to it, like it's reflecting off of that one. So I couldn't tell if it was purple on its own. And even in the dry finger swatch, I felt like maybe you could see a little bit of a warm kind of lilac color in there. In the wet swatch, I feel like you can see the purple a little bit more. And I found when I put it on my lids, which you'll see in the demo, that the purple really came out. So this color I found to be really interesting. It's quite the little chameleon. And then this bright purple shade over here is not as pigmented as I thought it was going to be as it appears in the pan here. I mean, it appears like ultraviolet in the pan. So when I first swatched this shade, I was very kind of like ginger with it. I didn't want to like pick up too much. I just thought it was going to be so bold and bright. And really it's more of just a sheer wash of the purple, which is very, very beautiful. And again, I kept saying this in the Virgin Orchid review, but these shadows, this formula of Tom Ford's is a very elegant one. You're not going to get overly saturated, highly pigmented shadows. You're going to get a very beautiful wash of these colors. And if you want something a little bit deeper, a little bit more opaque, you can go in wet. So that's the beauty of these shadows. I think that they really have this beautiful range, whether you use them dry or wet. And personally, I like that. When I see a purple color like this, I'm going to go in purposefully very, very light because I don't want just like a splotch of purple on my eyes. So it was kind of a relief for me that this was a beautiful kind of like wash of purple color. The same could be said for this dark navy shade, although this one I found to have a little bit more impact than the purple. And that was great because this is what I use to kind of give my eyes a little bit more dimension. And this really cool toned purple is gorgeous. It comes off like a grayish silver on my skin tone. And when I looked at this quad and after I swatched it, what I realized was you basically have 2 duos in here. The top row is like purple leaning, and then the bottom row is like a little blue leaning. And the 2 work really, really well together. If you just want to put the lighter color in the inner corner and like inside portion of your lid, and then you want to just blend it out with the 2 darker colors and just give it a little bit of dimension on the outer corner, you have a really easy 2 shadow look. And I think you can do the same thing even going up and down if you want to use these 2 colors or these two colors because they're so complementary. So I'm just ecstatic that Tom Ford is not only expanding his eyeshadow quad line, but they seem to really be investing in this formula, which I think from all the past eyeshadow quads has been the best, from Nude Dip and Honeymoon. So let's just jump into the demo here. So I basically started with this light shade on the upper left-hand corner, and I used this wet on my eyelid because I really wanted to get some nice kind of like metallic silvery impact there. And I definitely got it. Once I got this color wet onto my lid, I felt like I had a really intergalactic look, and I just love the effect that it gave my lids. Next, I used the bright purple shade, the one on the upper right hand corner, and I used that basically on the outer V, and I kind of deepened up my crease socket area, and I just blended that towards the lighter, more metallic shade, and I used this shadow dry. Next, I moved down to the deep navy shade here on the bottom right-hand corner, and I used my Esom W36 brush to get a nice bit of definition on the outer corner of my eye. And I swept a little bit of it into the crease socket area just to give it a little bit more dimension. And then I moved on to the fourth color, this color on the bottom right-hand corner of the quad, and I used that in the inner corner of my eye, and then I also brought it along my lower lash line, and I blended that along my lower lash line until about the middle of my eye. I went back to the navy shade over here on the bottom right hand corner, and I just finished lining the outer portion of my lower lash line. So I feel like I gave myself kind of like a space age kind of eye look, although I also find it to be very wearable. I don't feel like I would do anything differently if I wanted to just go out and run some errands or whatever. I feel like it just looks really cool. I mean, not just cool tone, but like cool. Also, I just wanted to point out that I did not experience any fallout with these shadows, and that's been my experience with this Tom Ford formula, that I really don't get any fallout. And I just wanted to point out, I did the same thing with Virgin Orchid, but there's really no like kick up. I feel like there was a bit more in the Virgin Orchid, but there really doesn't seem to be any kick up here. So after I was done with the eyeshadow quad, I used some of Tom Ford's Eye Kohl Intense in Midnight, which is like the perfect blue complement to this quad. I just lined my waterline and tight lined with it. And then I used the Tom Ford lip gloss in Love Bruise. I'll link to everything I have on my face down below in my description box, as I always do. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm really, really excited about these new Tom Ford eyeshadow quads. As you guys know, I did not have a great experience with his Shadow Extremes, the little ones, the single ones in the silver compact, and some of the lip releases I wasn't that much of a fan of, and so I was getting a little bit grumpy about Tom Ford, and I feel like my love for Tom Ford has been rekindled. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Let me know if you have any comments down below in the comment section. Subscribe before you leave, and I'll see you in my next video.